we talk about Singapore's urban design concept, it's very hard for us not to talk about community spaces. And when we talk about community spaces, it's not about a food court, a football stadium, or parks, or even a shopping mall. Essentially, we're talking about a physical space where people come together to share collective memories, to participate in society events together, to call this place their home. And I'm going to show you a very good example today, and that's called Our Tampines Hub. So here it is, our Tampines Hub, and it's basically Singapore's first integrated community centre. And it's not just really a community centre, it is a regional community centre. And what you can see here is huge. It's not 1 or 2 stories, there's 2 basements, 6 or 7 stories height. And essentially what you see here is a combination of different things. There's civics, there's sports, there's leisure, there's commercial, there's food as well. And according to the design brief, they try to create it along 5 thematic themes, and that is creative, green, active, learning, as well as a caring Tampines. When this was first conceptualized in 2011, it was formerly the grounds of Tampines Stadium, Tampines Sports Centre. So through a participatory design process, DP Architects, DP Design Private Limited, which is a huge consultant of architects and engineers, they undertook the project. They surveyed 15,000 residents around this area to ask what essentially is a community space that they want. And since then, construction started, I think, in 2014, 2013, and it completed phase by phase by 2017 and 2018.
So this is the interactive board that I'm going to bring you through. So essentially you find 2 basements, 7 stories, and basement 2 is full of car parks, and car parks of different colour zones. Basement 1, you have a partial car park, you have a bowling alley, and you have basically pretty much the underground air-conditioned mall, and you have NTUC FairPrice here, which sells the groceries. You have a lot of childcare, children development area, you have family car parks as well. And you go level 1. So level 1, the main ground level, which is a happening area, you have the arena here, where you have multi-purpose courts, all kind of sports you can imagine. You have the town square, which is basically the football pitch, and what you have is the stadium entrance here, and you have the circulation area around here, which pretty much food stores, individual shops. Now this is the main happening area, where you have the festive walk area, and you have the hawker centre here, and you have the one-stop public centre here. So this is like the main happening area. And if you go level 2 onwards, for this L-shaped corner here, it's basically the library, the Tampines Regional Library. It occupies level 2, 3, 4, I think 5 as well. So level 2, and you also see another multi-purpose courts here with some expandable seats. And you have the Sky Terrace with the exterior playground, and you have the rock climbing area here. So these are all the other shops as well. For level 3, you have the library here, and you have another multi-purpose court here. I think you have 16 number of badminton courts here. So you have a community auditorium here as well, and I think you have a festival theatre here as well. So in level 4, basically you see all the whites of the things below. You see the stadium, the multi-purpose hall here, a few more shops. I think this is an anti-festival wellness area. In level 5 onwards, this is pretty much the roof area of the walkway, the sky garden, and there's a long jogging path, circular jogging path here. You have the community garden going on here, and you also have, in level 6, you have the swimming pool area, and there is also a gym. So there are a total of 5 or 6 different swimming pools here, and you have the rooftop garden here, and level 7, that's pretty much here.
There are 5 key design takeaways, and the first one is very important, and I realized that you just do not have any other examples like this in Singapore yet, is that it's not so much about the hardware, but it's more about the software. Now what I mean is that it's not so much about architecturally or engineered how nice it's done, putting everything vertically, but it's more of how well the cross collaboration between 12 different institutes or government agencies or any other stakeholders, and you pack it all under one roof. There's some kind of design complexity. I mean, imagine yourself as an architect, you need to speak all 12 different, and 12 of them have all the different requirements to put, what kind of design, what kind of mechanical systems they want, and it's not easy, So take for example, if you go with the conventional way of design a township, You have a playground, you have a library, you have a food court, hawker center, or you have a football stadium somewhere, you know, far apart, all distributed across the township. Now, in order to make it very compact, to make it vertically, all under one roof, and you know, things like, for example, instead of having a community club facilities like library, so now you put a playground into the library, and instead of having a health cluster and a wellness center apart, now you put it side by side, wellness center and health cluster. And instead of having a sports science institute far away from a football pitch, now you just have the football club beside the sports science institute. So this design strategy encourages the shift away from silos thinking, you know. It's like ultimately aiming to serve the residents better, and thus creating more coherent and user-friendly environments, you know. And the second design takeaway is about pedestrian movements. Now, when you have so many things under one roof and there are so many other developments around, the key design is to make sure that the ground floor is wide and is easily accessible by all directions. And what I mean is, it's not some kind of, you know, just long sheltered walkway. It's a very interesting walkway design where as you walk past through different spaces, you have different spatial quality. You see different things, you feel different things, you feel the wind, you feel the sun. So I think that's, in a way, that's how it's done in throughout all the public spaces in Singapore, where at the ground floor you just have a very fluid movement with minimal obstructions. And of course you have programs around certain corners to make it more dynamic. And the third design key takeaway is all about thermal comfort. Now, when you have a community space that's so huge and so flooded by people, what you really need to do is not to provide aircon, but fan, lots of fan, because scientifically it's proven already that it's easier to cool someone by wind velocity rather than temperature, you know. So you see a lot of big ass fans around. I mean, they are not cheap, they are probably like $10,000, and big ass fans work so well, especially in a place that is high, that has high ceiling like atriums around. So you see a lot of big ass fans in our Tampines Hub, and you see vertical movable fans as well. But what's even more interesting is that how do you ensure the daylight still comes in? How do you ensure the lighting quality of the space looks huge? And that's when they use ETFE. And what you're looking now is that ETFE roof is a lightweight roof filled with certain gas. And what happens is that it filters the infrared through, so it kind of makes the space less dense, more daylight, you know. So yeah. And the fourth design takeaway is about the sustainability of this effort. You know, it's very easy for government to pour in millions of dollars for the first few years to keep this going, but eventually what made it so successful is the programs. How do the programs run? Who handle the programs? Where do they get their funding from? Now, our Tampines Hub, as we mentioned, there's so many stakeholders that are parking their program here, and what happens is that you have a lot of galleries to try to make it as a home for all. You have so many things to see. There's a mini heritage gallery here, and what you see here is actually an app for it. So you see, it says what's the coming up events, and you know, you can always search for the past photos of the events or contact them, you know, and all kind of basically advertisement or community publicity spaces here. So I think that's a very well done thing, that, you know, you have you try to make this our Tampines Hub as really a core community transient space where, you know, people will just get to know what's happening in this region. And lastly, the fifth design takeaway is all about spaces. You know, when it comes to community space, you would want something that people would just linger around, and some people just do not like to mix with other people. But on the other hand, you have an area that is very public as well. So what happens is that you see an array of tables, different chairs, different heights, all scattered around our Tampines Hub. And whether it's in aircon, or it's sheltered, or it's exposed rooftop, so this kind of ad hoc organic spaces, just with chairs, tables, or anything that you can just collaborate, you know, it kind of spurs people's creativity to just find some way to sit down and talk about things. Now, when you mention about collaboration, what I see here is freelancers, students, family, children, spending their weekdays here, spending their weekend here, and I think that's what matters the most, where you create a space in the public that yet people can make it very personal, to try to make it a home for all, to personalize this public space. So I think what's very important about public space is, yeah, to create a space for all, for them to create a sense of home.